February 22nd, welcome back to Edgework. I'm Zack Phillips, joined by Rusty Bill, as well as So Many Sports here on a day where we have 11 NHL games on the slate. So we'll break those down, get into our best bets, talk about the greatest Leaf of all time, hitting 51 goals on the season last night, 51 in 54 of his personal games played so far this season. We'll talk a little bit about the Canucks regression here, if So Money is worried, if they should be worried continuing to go forward, as well as giving out our best bets and answering questions from the chat. So if you have those, please send them as we go along here today. Hit that like button, subscribe here to the channel. We appreciate all the support, but we're trying to get to 5,000 subscribers by playoffs. We set high goals so we can try to attain those. I mean, what's the saying, guys? I don't know. It's a shoot for the moon. If you miss, you land amongst the stars. That's the goal here on Edgework. Shooting for 5,000. If we miss, then we end up at 6,000. It is what it is. But before we can get into anything here on today's show, I want to remind people that today's show, as always, is sponsored by BetStamp. The easiest way to improve as a sports bettor is by using multiple sports books and always getting the best odds. We recommend using an odds comparison tool like BetStamp to help you do so. BetStamp compares odds across every sports book for games, futures, and player props so that you can save time and money by checking BetStamp before you bet. Make sure to download the app today. It is available on iOS, Android, as well as on the web. If you are looking to sign up for a new sportsbook account as well, please check out the offers available at betstamp.app/edgework. That's betstamp.app/edgework. It does help support the show if you sign up using this link, and it is available in the description there as well, whether you're on YouTube or listening on podcasts. Guys, tougher day for us there yesterday, 3-4. It has not been the greatest week for the show. We've seen a little bit of a dip in our production. Kind of like the Canucks, I guess you could say. We're kind of falling off at the exact same time here, So Money. So I don't know what you've done or what the voodoo was that was cast on the Canucks and us, but we're experiencing the same thing. So here with a Thursday show and a big slate, let's get it back on track. We go 3-4, bringing our overall record on the season to 251-5. That's 508 bets on the season so far and a 5.2% ROI. We are up 26 units on the year as well. Russ, first and foremost, so go to you. Are you concerned about the regression of the Edgework team here at all?
No, absolutely not. So Money and I are doing our job. The last few weeks have been good. I think last week was one of our worst weeks, and we went right around 500. But the few weeks before that, we've made up considerable units. But no, I think this time of year is a little bit tricky. Some of these teams are looking at the standings, and they're completely out of it. Some of these teams are playing a little harder to get to that last wild card spot. So there's a lot more to take in this last after the break and stuff like that. So no, I think we're completely fine. A little bit of a dip, a little bit of regression is completely expected after the run we've been on, and I think we'll figure it out as a team, and it's only up from here.
So Money, I know that you were asking for regression for the Canucks so that it came now. You could face the adversity ahead of time, but couple that with what's going on with the show. Are you in the same position as Russ, or are you maybe feeling it a little bit more?
No, I completely agree here. I think that adversity is good, right? It makes you who you are. And in terms of Russ mentioned how it's a little bit tricky right now. I mean, you have teams who are who they are. They're firmly established in their identities. You have other teams where you have to start looking at the fuck it factor, right? Like there's teams that are just going to start mailing it in, and you need to be able to add that premium onto your lines as well, right? So it's that time of year. Things are tight. Market's efficient. So yeah, and adversity is good. It's good. Just like the Canucks, like it's good we face it now, and we can separate the men from the boys now.
Well, just like any good online tout or handicapper, we're just going to crunch the numbers a little bit more, spend an extra hour, get back in the lab, and we'll come back better than ever, ready to go, and help bring more winners to the people.
Wake up earlier, work harder.
Yeah, stay up later, like everything, anything that you could do, just any hours. If we were doing 60 hours before, we're doing 65 now. Like anything we could do to help the people out, that's what we're doing here on the show. So let's get right into it here today. We do have 11 games on the schedule. We've got some best bets already prepared for people, but if you do have questions about other games, please send them throughout the show here today in the chat. We will try to answer those as well. But let's start first and foremost here with the Carolina Hurricanes Florida Panthers game tonight. Yeah, exactly as Evan says here. You sim the slate 1,000 times yesterday. Today, boys, we sim it 2,000 times. Like anything we can do. But here in Carolina, the Hurricanes are hosting the Panthers. Carolina minus 115, the Panthers plus 104, and a total of 6 right now. Russ, what are your thoughts on this game? Do you have a bet here tonight?
Yeah, the chat is on fire this morning. Yeah, this is that's good.
Peter said the fuck it factor, talking about teams or the Wednesday show.
That's awesome.
All right, Russ. Sorry, Florida, Carolina.
No problem at all. Yeah, this is a fun handicap, a super interesting game. I think if you keep power rankings, these are probably 2 of the top 3 teams in the league. Both teams have just been playing, unreal hockey lately. But there's a couple things that lead me to bet on the Hurricanes here at home. I think that minus 115 is a good price, widely available. I would take that. Probably not a ton higher than that. We have seen it kind of dip back and forth. It got down to minus 112-ish, minus 110-ish, and then it got bet right back up to minus 115. So there's a little bit of a push and pull happening on this market. But I think minus 115 is a good price for a couple different reasons. You look at the underlying metrics, and both of these teams are top 5 in basically everything you can look at. Obviously, the Panthers have the edge in net. There's no doubt about that. But Bobrovsky has just been playing awesome this last month or so. So I think you can solidly give them the edge there. But other than that, I think I think this Hurricanes team is a good play for 2 different reasons. Number one is the power play percentage. Despite the fact that the Panthers are just playing awesome, they are still they still take the 3rd most penalty minutes in the league. They're a little bit undisciplined, and they actually get called for a ton of penalties. Carolina is a team that can take advantage of this. They're 3rd in power play percentage, 2nd in power play goals this year. I think that if you give them a chance to, at 5-on-4, more often than not, they'll take advantage of it, and I expect the same tonight. And then as far as me, just personal power rankings and personal numbers, I do have this number a little bit higher on the Panthers. I'm coming in at closer to minus 130, so I think minus 115 is a good price. I think that's probably a contrarian play or contrarian thought, because a lot of power rankings have the Panthers probably ahead of the Hurricanes. And according to this market, that's exactly what the market is saying. You give a little bit of a home ice advantage to the Hurricanes. But if you're looking at a neutral ice, I think you'd have the Panthers favored according to the market, and I actually think that's wrong. I think on a neutral ice, I would have the Hurricanes as the favorite here. So you're getting a little bit of a cheaper price on the Hurricanes for those 2 reasons. Like I said, very, very comparable teams in every category except for goaltending. I think that the Hurricanes can make up for that, hopefully on the power play. And the Hurricanes defense, has just been playing awesome. Both these defenses are awesome. But small edge to the Hurricanes, and I expect them to come out firing tonight. I think that they will be up for this game. Huge game for both of these teams. And, we're going to take the Hurricanes at home. Minus 115,
Great.
I think.
Yeah, and widely available there, as Russ had mentioned as well. So minus 115, we do lock in. Again, say it every show, but I will continue to remind people, especially to those who are new, we will recap all the picks at the very end. So don't worry about that. If you do miss something, you're wondering what it was, you can also find us in the BetSamp app in the Find Better section as Edgework HQ. But we do lock in the minus 115 on the money line. So, Money, what are your thoughts on this game here? And do you have any interest in this one?
I have some interest. So I am higher. I do come in higher than most on the Hurricanes. So I do agree with Russ on that perspective. There is a slight disagreement in the sense that on a neutral, I don't have Carolina higher than Florida on a neutral. but I don't think that they're that far off, right? So um, I don't I don't disagree with the play. I think that it is. I would be looking at at the Hurricanes here as well. I just think that the number is fair. Where I do see an edge, and I'm just looking to see if we can get plus money on it. So we played it earlier. It's the under in this game.
Yeah, sure.
Florida Carolina under 6. We have touched on Florida being an under team, right? So there's no question about that. And the reason why we haven't been playing Carolina unders is because of their goaltending, right?
Mhm.
Everything else for them profiles as as an under team. Well, slowly but surely their goaltending is starting to get to an NHL average level, right? Which is all I need to see to be playing Carolina unders and to be wanting to bet on Carolina more. So in this case, I think that the side is fair. You just even teams and you put the premium for home ice on the on the home team. So the side is fair, but I do have an edge on the under here. So under 6 up to -110.
Yep.
Okay, up to -110 there. All right, I was gonna ask because if you're looking across, you can see like -102s, -104, -105 within that range, very widely available there. We will grab that under 6 -102 available to us. It is available at a pretty widely or commonly used sportsbook, I guess I should say. So we'll grab that under 6 -102. But there you go. 2 plays in the first game of the night will be locked in there. And again, recapped at the very end of the show. But if you do have questions for games that we don't cover or have not covered throughout the show, please continue to send them. We'll answer them at the end of the show here once we get through the ones that we've got for today. But continuing to move on and cut through this slate here. Up next, we're going to take a look at the New York Islanders game here tonight against the St. Louis Blues. The Islanders on the road here in St. Louis. -110 for the Isles, +103 for the Blues, and a total of 6 right now. Russ, going back to you, what are your thoughts on where this side is currently sitting at and where the price is right now?
Yeah, I I think this price is a little bit short on the Islanders. This is another interesting game for me. I don't know if we bet on the Islanders much at all this year, if
Yeah.
any. But I expected this price to be closer to -120-ish for the Islanders. A couple different things to look at here. The Blues have rattled off a few wins lately, 8-4 in their last 12. They've been playing decent, but look at some of these underlying metrics, and they look like one of the worst teams in the league. I mean, if you look at the last 30 days, which is about the last 15 games or so, the Blues are 31st in expected goals for and 30th in expected goals against. I think that they are getting some decent goaltending in Bennington and Hoffer. They're 9th in save percentage in that same time. But yeah, the Islanders are they don't generate a lot of chances, but they're playing really good defense. 3rd in expected goals allowed in the last month, and that's pretty much the biggest edge I have here. I think we are going to get Varlamov for the Islanders, which I don't think makes a ton of a difference. Years past we would have wanted Sorokin, but I don't think this is there's much of a difference here. And as far as the number, I think this has kind of been bet towards the Islanders, and I think it should continue that way. We'll probably see this go up to -115 or so. So I would lock this in right now, and if you're listening, go ahead and if you're following the plays, lock it in. Yeah, like I said, I have this number considerably higher on the Islanders, -125-ish. So I think this is a good price. You could have got -105 or even plus money last night. So the market is sort of in agreement with me here. But yeah, I think these are two teams that are fighting for a playoff spot, and I think that the Blues have done a little bit better lately as far as wins. But if you look at the metrics, the Islanders are the better 5-on-5 team in pretty much everything you look at. And I expect their defense to keep them in this game. And, I think that -110 on the road is a good price for the Islands. So that's the way I'm going.
All right, there you go. Rack up another play here for tonight's card. If you are enjoying the content so far, please make sure to hit that like button. Less than 50% of the people who are watching the show right now have liked the stream today here. So
Not
that's
cool,
just not enough. Not enough. Like straight up, that's not enough. We appreciate the support, but I'm going to be honest when I have to be, and that's not enough. So continue to hit the like button here. But minus 110 for the Islanders on the money line. So, Money, what are your thoughts ahead of this game tonight? And do you have any bets?
I really hate this Islanders team. They just
Yeah,
they
same.
they find a way to screw me every way possible, right? Like I've like the toughest losses I've had this year have involved Islanders games, whether it be the totals or sides. Like they just drive me nuts. So I agree with everything Russ is saying in terms of where these two teams are headed. I was a couple of weeks ago, I was higher on the Blues, and I did like the Blues to make the playoffs because I did feel that out of the cluster of teams that they were around, that they were the least efficient of those teams. I'm kind of changing my tune on that. I think that the Blues are just they're, they're just bad, and we're seeing some teams around them starting to elevate their play, right? So we're seeing Nashville around them kind of starting to play better. Minnesota, obviously, right? So there are teams around them that have been able to elevate their play, whereas the Blues have just stayed where they are. So I'm starting to come in lower on the Blues. I don't want to bet on Islanders. I I make the line fair. I think that making the Islanders a small road favorite is it's probably the right way to do things. So I will pass on the game. Hopefully Russ has better luck in Islanders games than I do.
Yep.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, and I think So Money changed his tune on this Blues team after he tuned into the Tuesday show there, where we were grabbing Wild to make the playoffs plus
That's a good bet.
350, and
Yeah.
talking about the Blues team not being that good.
Yeah, that seemed like a great bet. That seems like a crazy price.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there you go. Another one locked in here for tonight's games. Continuing to move on, we do have a few more remaining that we were looking at ahead of tonight. And next up, we'll move to the Boston Calgary game where the Flames are hosting the Bruins plus 106, the Bruins minus 117, and a total of 5.5 here tonight. Russ, go to you again here first. Between the Bruins and the Flames, you see the Bruins come off a game there last night against the Oilers, goes to overtime, 6-5 finish for the Bruins. You're going to be playing a back-to-back on this little Western road trip that they're on. What are your thoughts ahead of tonight's game and where this line is currently priced at?
Yeah, that was a wild one last night. I do expect the Bruins to have some tired legs. On both offense and defense. I expect them to give up a few more chances than they would have not on a back to back. So that's the reason we're going to go over 5.5. I think it's right at minus 110. I think is a great price. This is it's jumped up a little. The total's been bouncing around. It goes down to minus 110 or so, and then it gets bumped up to minus 115 or minus 120. I honestly think this should probably be a 6. I have no issue going over these 5.5s this year. I think that 5.5 should be saved for very, very good defensive teams and very, very bad offensive teams. And we're not really getting that here. Honestly, Boston has not been playing very well despite getting some of these wins. They are 19th in expected goals allowed. Calgary's honestly been playing a little bit better if you look at some of the metrics, but they just haven't gotten the saves. Markstrom has kind of fallen off a little bit, whereas Boston has had decent goaltending. But like I said, I think that these 5.5 should be saved for some of the very best defensive teams in the league. If you just look at the overall numbers, 5.5 this year, the over is 36 to 29 unders. So I think, when you're getting these 5.5s, they're just a little bit short for the style of play, unless you have two very, very good defensive teams and bad offensive teams. So I've got this number north of 6 here. I think, honestly, Boston should come out firing despite the fact that they had a long night with Edmonton last night. So I think that they can kind of name their price, but I think that over 5.5 at minus 110, minus 115 is way too cheap. So that's the way I'm going to go.
All right, so we'll grab that over 5.5 minus 113. Now, So Money, does the Bruins coming off that game last night, probably a bit of an emotional one, a physically draining one against the Oilers? How does that affect your handicapping for tonight's game, if at all?
So it is something that you want to look into, right? Like, I mean, it is it is something that could show up in their game, right? Like Russ mentioned, they could have tired legs. But what I would ask anybody who is looking at the game from that perspective is that if both teams were on equal rest, if that game against the Oilers didn't happen last night, what number would you make the Bruins? Right? You'd probably get on the road Bruins maybe minus 130, minus 125, right? Like that that should be the correct answer, right? Well, they're not, right? They've it's already been reduced. It's already been adjusted, right? Like the situation, the situational advantage that the Bruins would normally have is already reflected in the line because they have been discounted for tonight, right? So I think that there's no edge on the side, right? You take the Bruins number that you did. Russ fall asleep? He looks frozen. Sorry for boring you there, right? But yeah, but you take the Bruins number, right? And then you adjust it for the situation, and then that's where we are right now, right? I completely agree with Russ on the over, right? Like I've talked about the 5.5. Therefore, special situations in the league in today's NHL. Boston has been leaky defensively lately. We saw that come to fruition last night, right, with the chances and the goals that they gave up. And we also mentioned that they're a team that's getting primed to break out offensively as well, which we're also starting to see as well. So I think that the over 5.5. Neither of these teams right now qualify as that 5.5 situation. So I think that the way that both teams are headed, we have the edge on the over 5.5 right now, and I'm sure we're not going to see a 5.5 on our Bruins games in a week or so here.
All right, well, there you go. Rubber stamped on the 5.5, the over, minus 113. Then we lock in. Russ and Somani both agreeing on that one. Nice to see double down there. Continue to move on here. A couple more games that we have bets in tonight. We will next up take a look at the Battle of Newark, New Jersey. I don't know. I'm not familiar with the New York area as much as I should be. Alber's probably at home right now, shaking his fist watching the show. But the New Jersey Devils hosting the New York Rangers here tonight. New Jersey minus 104. The Rangers minus 106, and a total of 6.5 for this one right now. So, Money, what are your thoughts in this game? And is there anything that you're betting on tonight?
So we did bet the Devils. Like the Devils up to, what did I have it here? The Devils up to minus 115. I have it. So the Rangers
Perfect.
did. So the Devils took money earlier, right, when we bet it, and then the Rangers have taken money in the market since. It's not surprising. The Rangers have reeled off a bunch of wins here, but I'm not very impressed with the way that they've been playing. Right, they good for them. They get the wins, right, but I think that. I think they're especially on defense, right? They're starting to get a little bit leaky on defense. They do get decent goaltending on occasion, right? It's not as consistent as it should be. And the Devils are a team we've talked about how they're fine offensively, right? So like if you're trading chances with the Devils will keep up with anyone, right? So I am on the Devils here. There's some narrative involved here as well. I thought that the 6-2 loss that the Devils had to Washington last game was probably their worst game of the season. It was some of the stuff coming out of the Devils camp kind of reflected that as well. So in terms of narrative, I do expect the Devils to bounce back. If they do bounce back, then you got to think about what that looks like and how that can be reflected in the market as well, right? So if the Devils are bouncing back, what that looks like is that they are generating offense against a Rangers team that is starting to see a little bit of dip in their defense as well. Rangers are going to be without some guys tonight, so they might have trouble keeping up with the Devils offensively. And then in terms of goaltending, obviously most teams in this league have an edge on the Devils goaltending. But if I feel that the Rangers goaltending is not up to par as of this moment, then that's an edge in the market that I have right now, because the market feels that there's a greater edge on the Rangers goaltending than on the Devils goaltending, which I don't agree with at this moment, right? So that's where I have the game. We did play the Devils, and it's widely available right now up to the -115.
Right, and we will grab that up to -115 there. We grab -104 available on Pinnacle Sportsbook here in Canada, across Canada. And as Jeremy says here, possibly no Panarin or VC tonight as well. So factoring that in, Joey, go Devils. So there you go. We will be rooting for that. And now, Russ, you were kind of looking at the Devils ahead of time here before the show. Where are you at right now with where the price is? And are you going to rubber stamp this one as well?
Yep. Yeah, we played the Devils as well. I think this has been back and forth in the market. Every time it gets to a certain price, the Devils get hit. And when the Rangers get to plus money, they get hit. So I think this is there's two groups going back and forth on this one. But yeah, I think that was well put. Everything that So Money said was right on. I think just to put a couple numbers on some of the things that he said, the Rangers have been rattling off a ton of wins. Obviously, no one can dispute that. But yeah, looking at some of their underlying metrics, 26th in expected goals for, 20th in expected goals allowed over the last month or so. So relying a little bit on these awesome games by Jonathan Quick and Igor Shesterkin. But yeah, and then looking at I expect Shesterkin in net tonight against Dawes. When you look at those two, Shesterkin is 34th in goals saved above expectation this month, and Nico Dawes is 36th. So there's really no edge there, just like So Money was saying. So I completely agree. I've got this number north of where it's at here. I think that -105-ish is a great price, completely short. And it's not pretty, but I'll continue to bet against the Rangers. There's some of their numbers just do not agree with me, and just do not agree with some of the wins that they've been getting. So I'll go that way again. And a little bit of the narrative stuff that we talked about at the beginning of the show. This is a huge game for the Devils. 4 points back of a wild card spot, and the Rangers are comfortably sitting in first place with really no pressure. So this is a massive, massive game for the Devils to get at home. So that's the way I'm going to go. I think -105-ish is a great price.
Well, Russ saying he doesn't necessarily agree with some of the numbers that are being put out there on the Rangers, but I think the one thing that we can all agree on is that So Money is looking awfully handsome today there, as Eric says in the chat. It's undisputable. Russ and I sit here waiting. So Money's fixing his hair, getting ready to go. I'm saying, So Money, we got to start the show. He's, hold on a second. I got to look perfect. So it is what it is.
Guys,
it's this way you get.
My diva tendencies are not for public consumption.
You get the good hair day. Usually it reflects in the pics. Just remember that, everyone listening.
Yes, exactly. There's a question here as well too. I want to make sure we get to this because as a show, we are transparent, we are open, we are honest. Win and loss record for yesterday, if you had missed it off the top, we're not going to hide things. 3-4 day yesterday. We end up going down negative on the day yesterday, and it has been a little bit of a tough week for us, but the Thursday crew is back here, and this is what people wait for. They wait all week for the Thursday crew to kind of head us in the right direction going into the weekend here. So 3-4 day yesterday, but we're back today, and we'll get things back on track, and we'll continue to do that here with the final game that we have bets for that we are looking at ahead of time. And that would be in the Maple Leafs Vegas game. Vegas -109, the Toronto Maple Leafs +102, and a total of 6 right now. Russ, I'm just going to hand it to you here. Talk to me. What are you looking at tonight? What do you like?
Yeah, this should be a fun game, and probably one of the games I like the best on the board tonight. I was very surprised to see the Maple Leafs at a plus money number when I opened it up yesterday. So we grabbed that +105-ish. Yeah, that +102 at Bet Rivers is great. It's kind of been hanging around stagnant Well, most of the market has moved to minus 110 or so. I still think that's a little bit short. I've talked about this a little bit. I tweeted about it. This Vegas team has just been struggling lately. 4-5, 4-1 in their last 10, and out of their last 20 games, they only have 9 wins. And you look at some of the metrics, and they exactly replicate that. They're similar to the Rangers, except for Vegas has not been getting the wins that the Rangers have. 20th in expected goals for, 26th in expected goals against in the last month for this Knights team. And then you couple that with Mark Stone being out for indefinitely for the next couple of weeks, which is a huge loss for me. For them, it changes my numbers considerably for this Knights team. You've got some of these guys filling in that don't normally play a ton of minutes that are expected to play a lot more than normal. And so yeah, let's get into the number here. I've got Toronto at closer to minus 125 or so. Taking into account on the road, taking into account, they should actually have the disadvantage in goal. That is one of the good things for the Vegas Knights lately is Aiden Hill has been playing pretty well. But looking at this Toronto team, they've just been playing awesome lately. I don't think this back-to-back should affect them much. They're 8th in points per game on a back-to-back, so they really have no issue. Obviously, the travel is not, what is it, like an hour flight from Arizona to Vegas. So it shouldn't be an issue at all. And these are just two teams who I think are just playing completely opposite right now. This Toronto Maple Leafs team has just been on fire lately, really has been dominating opponents, and this Knights team has just been struggling. So I think the wrong team is favored here type of situation. If you can get that plus money, it's a great play. It's accounting for all the back-to-backs and all the injuries. I have Toronto significantly higher than the price. So that's the way I'm going to go. The Maple Leafs money line for the final play of the day.
Plus 102 there. There is a bunch of plus money available out there, so make sure to shop around as well. If not, there is some minus 101s and stuff in that range as well. So money, what are your thoughts on this game tonight? Do you support Russ's pick of the Maple Leafs here, or do you have any other interests in this game?
I do support the pick on the Maple Leafs. I don't think that, even though I've been waiting for Vegas to turn it around, they're just not able to do it consistently at this moment. The injuries are really hurting them. And now you add Stone onto that list as well, which, as Russ mentioned, it is a significant loss for what they want to do on offense, especially with the other guys out. I do like the under. It's not a full play for me. It will make it a half unit. And the reason why it's going to be a half unit, so if we can get the plus money 6.5, I think that's outstanding. The reason it's a half unit is because even though Vegas is having trouble generating offense with the guys that are out, I'm still seeing signs of them, and I'm still waiting for them to break out consistently. I think that it's coming. And what's also the other thing I see with Vegas is that they're starting to get weaker or leakier on defense as well, right? So, and of course we know that Toronto can put up goals with anybody, but also if this is going to be a Martin Jones start, my history with him is well documented, right? And he's either going to be the Stanley Cup final version of Martin Jones or the one that knows when I bet on him and he tries to screw me. So we're gonna take it lightly with Martin Jones, and those are the reasons why we're doing half unit on the under.
Okay, so there's 6s out there. We can find plus money on the 6. There are some 6.5s. Juice to the under on those. Are we looking more at a 6.5 so money or a 6? Which would you prefer for tracking purposes and for those people out there who are maybe looking and finding different numbers available on their sports books right now?
So the 6.5s look like they're up to minus
125s, 130s. Yeah.
Yeah, so I would go the 6 up to the minus 105.
Okay, there you go. So
and
we'll
then if you can get that plus money 6, obviously that's ideal.
All right, there you go. That'll be the final play that we're going to lock in here as was predetermined. But as always, as you guys know, so with how it works here with the Thursday show with these big slates, we'll go through and see if there's any other games that these guys like. So, Russ, was there anything else on the schedule here tonight that maybe you were looking at? Any information that's popped up throughout the day, or any numbers or movement that you've seen that now you're interested in and might be making a bet on for tonight?
Not necessarily. I had the Kings circled here, but I don't think I will. I'll make a play. It seems like that number has moved right into where I think it should be. And as we hit upon earlier, the Preds are actually playing pretty well. You know, they know that they need points right now, and they're getting them. So I think that number is probably about right. I think minus 155 or so, minus 160 is a good about the right range. So there's no value there, despite the fact that I do lean towards the Kings. They've been playing a lot better lately with the new coach bump. But the Preds have screwed me a couple times the last few weeks, so I'm gonna lay off there. Like somebody said, they're actually playing a lot better recently. So probably no play there, and 5 plays for me tonight will be plenty on a very, very good Thursday slate.
Anything for you, somebody that you haven't got to quite yet?
Not in terms of plays. Obviously I'm interested in the Canucks game, and if they're going to be losing, and if Vegas and the Oilers are losing right there with them, I'm completely happy with it, right? So, they're facing some adversity right now, which is fine. We've been talking about the last couple of weeks where there are some losses that are on their way, which we're seeing. This is a team that's been coasting through the whole season. They've taken care of business against weaker teams. Their schedule is getting a lot tougher, and it's not necessarily that I don't think they can keep up with the better teams. Obviously, they can. It's more so that there's a lot more elite teams that are on their schedule. So there's so obviously there's going to be losses that get picked up there. So I think that the Canucks did take money there, so I think they're out of range. If they do dip back to around the minus 115 range, I would be interested in the Canucks. But for now, we've gotten out of range with them.
All right. And final one that I'll ask you guys about here, because it was submitted late by the chat, and we want to make sure we get to those. The Dallas Stars minus 150 money line here against the Ottawa Senators. If you look on BetStamp there, it is around minus 154 out to kind of minus 160. I guess maybe some people have some access to 150s that aren't listed here on BetStamp. But so, Money, what are your thoughts on where that price is at right now? And do you have any thoughts on where it should be or where it is and that bet?
So just on the market right now, if Dallas should continue to take money, if you're able to get a minus 150, I would bet it. I think it's just based on the market, and I would do it at the 150.
Right. All right. There, Russ, anything for you here in this game?
Nope, I think it's about right on price. Yeah, like Jordan Mosel said, it has moved significantly from yesterday. I think that's a great price to lock in. The Stars team has been playing very, very well under the radar, as we've hit on. So I think that's the way I would lean. But at minus 155, I think all the value has been taken out.
All right, there you go, John. Hopefully that helps answer your question. But that'll do it for today's picks for today's games. To recap here, again, you can see all of these over in the BetStamp app in the Find Better section. But to recap the picks that we've given out here on today's show, there are a lot of them, so stick with us. We're going through from the top. The Florida Panthers, Carolina Hurricanes, under 6. Minus 102 there. That's the Panthers, Canes, under 6, minus 102. We're also going to take the Hurricanes money line, minus 115. Moving on, we're taking the New Jersey Devils money line, minus 104. And the New York Islanders money line, minus 110 there against St. Louis Blues. Then we're going to go to the Bruins Flames game. We're taking the over 5.5, minus 113. Then we're going Leafs, Vegas, under 6, plus 105. That is a half unit on that one. The Leafs, Vegas, under 6, plus 105. And finally, the Maple Leafs money line plus 102 there against the Vegas Golden Knights here tonight. That'll do it. That'll do it for the stream here today. We appreciate all the support for everyone who's watching right now. If you haven't hit that like button already, please hit the like button now. If you're new to the channel, or if you've come back here after having been here before and you're not already subscribed, please subscribe here to the channel. We appreciate all the support, but we're aiming for 5,000 subscribers by playoff time. So thanks to everyone who watched today. So Money, Russ, thank you guys for taking the time to do this. You can find myself, So Money, and Alex B back here tomorrow morning at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. So look forward to seeing everyone then to close out this week. But until then, enjoy the games tonight and good luck on your bets.